Welcome to High Road Conversations, where we explore what it really means to lead with integrity, purpose, and impact, especially when the easier path is right in front of you. I'm Zach Parker, Navy veteran, leadership coach, and lifelong student of what it means to take the high road when it isn't easy. In this podcast, we dig into the moments that test leaders, the decisions that define them, and the lessons that keep them grounded as they grow. Because leadership isn't about perfection. It's about choosing the high road, one decision at a time. I'm joined today by my co-host, Evangeline Pescasio, transformational leadership coach, and someone deeply committed to helping people grow through meaningful connection. Together, we sit down with leaders, builders, and thinkers who are choosing to lead differently, not through power or position, but through principle. Today, we'll be chatting with Tom Judkins, owner of the Backyard Palate, and a content creator who is redefining how we think about food at home. Tom doesn't just create recipes, he creates connection. His belief is simple. Food is the great connector, and the real goal is bringing people together around something meaningful. In this conversation, we explore creativity, hospitality, leadership through influence, and why connection, not perfection, is what truly brings people to the table. Before we jump in, make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on so you stay connected to future conversations. And as you watch, let us know your biggest takeaway in the comments. We're going to be talking today to Tom Judkins, who is the creator of the Backyard Palate, which is a pretty sizable Instagram channel now. And I've known Tom for several years. I've watched him grow over the years from just a few hundred followers to now over 600,000 on Instagram. Fantastic content. And he's graciously allowed me to be in some of that content, which was a lot of fun. Incredible to watch him work. And, you know, I loved talking to Tom, and I can't wait to get more into his background here. In your own words, how did you become this superstar on Instagram?
I woke up one day and suddenly I had all these followers and suddenly I was somebody. So I guess that's how it works, right? You just, it kind of happens to you. I still haven't quite processed the amount of people. Like I had some friends over the other night and they're like, you have the entire state or the city of New York following you. Like there's so many people. And when you put it in that perspective, it's like, that is kind of, wow, that's a lot of people. But I feel like I do the same thing I've always done. And I think what it's boiled down to is raw creativity. I try to be genuine. I really care about the work that I do. I try to be as invested in it from my heart and also coming from a parent perspective, as a provider's perspective, it has stretched me so much to make it something beyond a hobby and into a living. So I've been able to build a lot of great relationships with brands and make some really good deals with brands that have helped really scale the business and make it something big enough to provide for my family. So I know there's a lot of people out there who want to know how you break through that couple hundred follower jail, which I know very well because you think you have no good ideas. But I think the key is consistency. You just have to have consistent good ideas and show up every day and work hard. So I definitely don't see myself as someone who's made it because I might be in the ground this time next year because things change, trends change. So I try to stay on my toes, stay gritty. I never see myself as a celebrity. So I do what I love and it has worked out. I've been very fortunate that it's gotten this far.
What was it like? I remember when you sort of announced, because we go to church together. So I remember when you sort of announced, hey, I've gotten a few pretty big videos and I've kind of made this decision that I'm going to go this way. What was that process like, coming from sort of relative obscurity and then having all of a sudden like these massive, what was it, like 10 million views or 20 million views on a video, and you got like several of them in a row that were like that, and then you're like, hey, maybe there's something here.
Yeah. It felt like a pipe dream at the time where I was like, this seems like the best case scenario that I could actually bring in money from this that's reliable and that can provide for a couple of children and a mortgage and all these things that can weigh on a provider. And so at the time it was kind of a struggle between my wife and I. She's like, you got to find a job and do this on the side. And I agreed with her, but another part of me was like, I've got to put 100% into this. And thankfully, she was very supportive when I kind of pushed back on the pipe dream. This, it's sink or swim. So I swam with all my might. But looking at those videos that did pop off, I remember thinking, I need to follow that template. What did I do? I studied those videos like crazy, and I picked apart what I did because, to be honest with you, when I put them together, uh, I didn't go about them with all the strategy in mind that I go about it now. It wasn't until after I saw them performing, I'm like, oh my gosh, I did that and I did this, and you could kind of piece apart the video and put together a template. And so I saw that as a vision for the next year. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do my videos. This is my style. This is my branding. This is how I'm going to pitch myself to brands and how I can position them in my videos. And so it went from this sort of miracle thing to a strategy and a business concept and something that was that could be scalable. So that transition point took a lot of courage for me because it was all in theory. And just because I did have a couple of videos do really, really well, it didn't mean that I had a brand yet. So I think that was an exciting time because I just had this hunger and this vision, and I wanted to prove my wife that I could do this, and I wanted to be there for my kids, and it started this fire in me, and I still have that fire. I still have that drive, and I know this could be so much more than what it is today, and I try to go about it that way.
I love everything that you said, Tom, and I already got so much from, from all of those. You talked about vision, talk about your dream, your hunger, the fire inside of you, knowing that there's something more, right? God has given you all these gifts, and you've learned about humility and strategies, which really define to me leadership, self leadership, which is what Maxwell says before we can lead others, we got to lead ourselves. So, what was that point in your life where you said, um, I know it's hard, I know it's difficult? What was that something that said, I really know it's going to work? It's just a matter of time.
Mm-hmm. You talking about in my life in general or
Yes.
since I started the business?
The business and your life. You can put everything. I think, everything, the principles apply to every area of our lives, in our family, in our faith. Because I'm a holistic practitioner, so I like seeing the full picture of how you
Yeah.
transition.
Um, I would say it started in 2021. I just left from working at the hospital. I used to work in the cardiac OR, and I was given this opportunity from a really close friend of mine, and just found out that my wife was pregnant. And that's when things really get serious, right? Got to get my crap together. So um, we decided to move out west, be in Utah, closer to family. I had a friend who worked in the tech space, because there was nothing quite like the job that I was doing in Washington, D.C., that there was in the West, nothing that paid anywhere close. So I'm like, there's no way I can continue doing this. So I had a friend in tech. He got me hooked up. It provided some good medical benefits and competitive pay. And I was like, this is such a blessing. I did one of my interviews on the road in our moving truck. So I didn't even have the job lined up. I feel a little bad. We didn't tell our landlord that I was even going to have a job. Thankfully, they didn't ask, but I was like, we will figure it out. And so luckily, I think the day after we moved in was my third interview with all the executives. And uh, I remember the night before, I had a coach who was helping me get ready for this interview. And uh, apparently, I was terribly unprepared and I cried on camera.
Oh,
And afterwards, I hit my bed and cried for 10 minutes. And I told my wife, like, I don't think this is going to work out. My coach really thinks I'm not ready yet. And so after that 10 minutes of bawling my eyes out, I stood up and I just kind of brushed myself off and I got right back to work. I worked on this PowerPoint and took his advice and changed the things that needed to be changed and practiced. I think I was up until 3 in the morning. My interview was about 10 in the morning. And so right before the interview, I said a prayer. I just said, if this doesn't work out, please help us, help me, help my family. But ultimately, please help me to get this job. I really need this job right now because Jess needed to do appointments with the OBGYN for pregnancy. I was like, we need to have insurance right now. And luckily, everything worked out. I got the job and it was a huge, huge win for us. We celebrated by going to a Mexican restaurant. We were very happy. We love food, by the way. Um, anyway, that was a very big turning point for me because I took ownership of my life in that moment. Even though my coach didn't believe in me, I believed in me. We had a conversation the next day, or I guess a couple of days once I got accepted for the job. He's like, dude, I didn't see it in you, but you had it in you. And he was very impressed. And so ever since then, I learned of myself that it just takes a little bit of grit and belief to do something that seems impossible. And that's really what this has been. A lot that I don't know about this, a lot that I don't know about business still that I have yet to learn. And I just hope that I can continue that attitude of let's go about it with an open mind, with confidence, and a willingness to learn. And usually that's a good recipe for success, in my opinion, my experience.
I like the use of the word recipe there. Uh, and no one would know that you're a fan of food. It's just a secret between the three of us and the other 580 some odd thousand
just
people.
learned that today.
That's right.
So I don't think I've ever asked you why food? Of all the things you could have started doing, and I think you probably would have been great at any of them. Why did you choose food?
Man, that's a good question. I don't know how far to go, but when I was a kid, my number one goal in life, that's a bit ambitious to say, but I will say as a kid, I really wanted to beat my mom at making cookies. I wanted to make better cookies than her. And that was all that I worked on was making
Wow.
really, really good chocolate chip cookies. And I got to the point where in college, I was going to start my own cookie business. I had this recipe that I really believed in, and I had a lot of people give such good feedback. I was thinking of selling the recipe to Crumble Cookie at one point. Like it was one that I really thought was going to do well. And I came up with a concept for the business. It was going to be chomp cookie. These thick, meaty, like the steak of cookies kind of concept. And 2020 kind of changed that for me.
Mm.
That kind of went under and I didn't pursue it any longer. But it's also about the same time we got into pizza, and it's a I don't know how to describe it, but there's a moment when we were visiting my sister-in-law's family. They were doing a family pizza night, and I remember something just clicked, like, hey, we should do this. We should do this weekly, like make it a family tradition, because that's what they were doing. They were doing like Sunday pizza nights. And so I was like, Jess, let's do this. And once we started doing it, I just remember thinking there's got to be a way to make it really good, like better than restaurant quality pizza. And so I tried all these different recipes. I did different sauces and tried different cheeses and different pepperonis and all these different toppings, different ways to cook it. And I became kind of this scientist of sorts, trying to find the right combination for the perfect pizza that would keep me from going to Domino's, Pizza Hut, even really nice Neapolitan pizza places. I wanted to make the best pizza I could possibly ever make. And that process just it drove my creative instincts, and I became interested in other foods. So really 2020 is what awakened the beast in me. I really got obsessed. I get obsessed about certain things, and pizza became the thing. And then it just branched out to other types of food, barbecue, and now it's a wildfire and it's out of control. But it's making us money somehow.
That's great to hear. I was watching your videos and oh my, the creativity. The videos are amazing. I love food too. I love cooking. I love experimenting, but I don't follow recipes. So that's one thing I'm getting from you is to maybe, make my own
Don't chat
recipe.
GBT it.
Yes. I have a friend who said, write a cookbook recipe book or something because you're always posting all this that you're making. And I like you, it's about family, right? It's about childhood memories, and I try to make them as a little healthier than our culture, cultural
Yeah.
food, Filipino food. They're good, but they're not very good for health. So I try to make a healthier version of it. But I love so many things. I'm taking notes here. I'm hearing from you, um, being authentic, being having the grit, the belief in yourself, which is so important, really, in anything that we are trying to attain, right? So taking ownership, I love that.
Mhm.
These are lessons that are very helpful. If there is one mistake that you can think of earlier in your career or what you're trying to build, one mistake that you've done, what can you think of that can help us to avoid making those mistakes and maybe, um, go further in what we're trying to build for those of us that are new?
I don't want to flip the question on itself, but uh, I would say the effort to avoid making mistakes.
Okay.
I think that was a mistake in its own. And I really don't think there was any decision, any terribly awful decision that I have made since starting this journey uh, that I look back on and regret. There were some pretty bad decisions, I would say, but everything has served a purpose, I will say.
I
And
love it.
I do think mistakes are a good thing. And, there was one time I think we got a really, really bad truck, and it was for the business. It was a complete lemon, and it cost us so much money to repair, and we didn't have much money at the time. And I was deeply depressed for probably 3 days. And this was just after Adelaide was born. It was like my rock bottom because things just weren't working out for us at the time. We were really, really trying to make some headway. And at the time, it was a catering business. We were catering pizza to people. And so we needed a truck to deliver supplies and ingredients, and we got this really, really bad truck, and the check engine light came on as soon as we left the lot, and
Mm.
it seemed like our golden nugget that turned out to be encased in, it was just chocolate inside. It wasn't real gold. It was just a mistake. And but I look back on that, and I'm really, really grateful that I went through that, because from there it kind of laid the groundwork to me eventually working at Halo, which is what brought me here to Kentucky. And if I hadn't have had that rock bottom, uh, we wouldn't have changed gears. We had to change gears. We had to go a different direction, and that's where I feel like that mistake that I made with that truck, which I was so angled on getting, even though my wife told me we shouldn't get that truck. Um, I'm grateful that it happened, and I learned so much about myself during that time. So I would tell people, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just do the best you can and roll with the punches. I continue to make mistakes, I would say on the daily, but you just can't let that stop you.
I love that. I love that. I think that's one of my mistakes in the beginning is not allowing myself to make mistakes or to fail. So I love that.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I will say, social media is a terrible platform to compare yourself with people. You look at people and you think they have it all together, and I'm sure a lot of people see me and think that I have it all together, and think that I'm a phenomenal cook or like I'm a professional chef. But to be honest with you, I'm just trying things out. I'm experimenting, and thankfully on camera they look delicious. But I people probably give me too much credit, and I think they need to give that credit to themselves and let it drive them. Everybody's flawed, so I never want someone to have the impression that I'm some rock star. I'm just a normal guy, and I've figured out something that works for me. So people just need to go through the trial and error process and
Yeah.
see what works for them.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. It's a good lesson, I think, for everybody because there's not a lot of people who uh, want to make mistakes. They don't embrace the power of making mistakes and how much that can do for growth. And so, being able to say, hey, it's all right. I can screw some things up. We can make some mistakes. Yesterday I made a huge mistake. I've been planning this LinkedIn Live thing for a week where I was going to showcase, one of the tools that we have, the leadership game. And when I went to do the LinkedIn Live, I didn't realize that LinkedIn has its own live streaming key setup thing, and it's really unclear how you actually make it happen. I
Oh,
thought, well, I'm just going to do a Zoom call, and it's going to be just like this. But no, it wasn't. It was a huge debacle, and I didn't
oh,
actually get started until like 21 minutes after I had planned to get started. And thankfully, somebody was, one of the people who was planning to be there knew how to do it, and she was kind of helping me along. So thanks for having her. I really appreciate that. But it was a kind of a debacle, but I learned a lot from it, and I think that's what you have to do. To your point, is you just try things, and sometimes they work, and sometimes they don't work, and the things that don't work, you learn a lot more from those things than maybe from the things that actually do work.
yes, I agree. If I can put this into a phrase that can apply to really any situation, uh, something that helps me is to tell myself, on to the next recipe, on to the next video. Because sometimes I have videos that just don't do well. They completely flop. And that's hard for me because I put the work into making that video and I really believed in it. And I could easily let it get to me and just think about it and think about it and let it kind of affect my day, affect my mood. And it's happened before where I'm really upset that this video didn't do well. Uh, but what's helped me is to just tell myself, on to the next video, on to the next recipe. Let's get started. Let's keep moving forward. Don't let anything tie you back. Don't let any mistakes. Just always be forward looking. You can learn from the past, but it's just not worth trying to crack the code on why why am I like this? You know, it's never personal like that. It's just I think it's just life, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, I think you're right. And that, I think that kind of leads into the whole purpose of this podcast is to try to draw out lessons of leadership from people like you, people who've gotten to successful places within, their career, maybe more successful than other people, maybe kind of on a trajectory to do that. Obviously with the growth of your channel, you're doing fairly well compared to the way that, like my channel's got, I think 150 people on it,
Yeah.
but I don't really do much with it. So, um, but to that point that you were just making, uh, what what are the practices that you engage in on a daily basis, or maybe a regular basis? Maybe it's not daily, but a regular basis that kind of keep you focused and keep you centered, help you to maintain some mental health as you're going through this, because I know it can be quite stressful when you're looking down that you know analytics uh, graph and you're thinking this one's not doing well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I will say the last 3 weeks to a month have been lower performance for me as far as like how my videos have been doing. Some kind of change in the algorithm. I don't know what it is, but someone told me a piece of advice that has served me very well, and he said, "Don't do the right things, be the right person." And so I focused a lot on being in the right mindset, having the right attitude, treating people the right way, and having that philosophy has set me up every day. I look at myself that way. I treat myself with kindness. I talk to myself kindly. And, that's a lot easier said than done. I think a lot of people have a hard time because they're, you're your worst critic, right? You know everything about yourself. You know your whole blooper reel. You see everyone else's highlight reel. And so I think people need to give themselves a lot of grace. I would say I give myself a lot of grace. I used to be very hard on myself. And I learned that that kind of behavior, that kind of mindset has never done me well. I've always it's more of a self-righteous thing. I try to whip myself into shape, and it's never been healthy for me. And so I found that treating myself kindly, waking up every day and doing things that are good, like, sometimes I'll be able to get a workout in or eat a nice breakfast. Often it's to get ingredients for a video, but on my way, I'm listening to either the scriptures or some good music, something that just starts the day off strong. And so if I don't do any of that, I wake up with my kids, which is always abrupt. I just I snap right into the mindset that I know I need to be in, and feel like that has really served me well. So trying to be the right guy instead of do the right things. Life isn't a checklist. I think it's about growing as a human being. Uh, and, at the end of my life, I really hope to see that the business hasn't been my number one priority. I am my business. I have built myself, and my business is a reflection of that. So hopefully that all made sense.
Awesome. Yeah, I
That's
love that.
awesome. Yeah, I love that too. And that tells me about not just authenticity, but also excellence. You know, knowing your priority, knowing your identity. So, how do you balance that identity and that to be with pressure of doing more, being more, reaching more? You know, the pressure of on social media, you gotta really excel and you gotta stand out.
Yeah, that's a great question. I've had to dissociate myself from the results, honestly. When I do a video now, I work on a project, I do it without the expectation that this is going to do really, really well. Sometimes, I do have that in mind and it does do really well. But then there's many times where I do something that I think is going to do extremely well. It's going to perform great. And it does the exact opposite. It flops, it underperforms. And I used to look at myself and say, like, what's wrong with me? People don't like me, don't like my recipe. And I've had to adjust that over time and just say, like, it's not personal. And I can move on to the next, and it doesn't attach with my self-esteem or my self-confidence. It just, honestly, I have been able to channel that energy into creating better content, and I get excited about improving myself and trying something new, and just having that grit to be different or to do something that I'm not used to doing. So 2026 is going to be full of things that I haven't been doing here in 2025, and it's really exciting, even though there's a lot of unknown and a lot of inexperience. But at the end of the day, I come back to myself and I'm just very proud of what I've done. And there are definitely ebbs and flows, but I don't let any of that define me. I have a great wife. I have healthy children. I surround myself with strong-minded, good-hearted friends. And I feel like I have a great community of people. So really, it's going to have to take all of hell to take me down at this point.
Nice. Well, what do you think? I think so. This is just so we're very transparent with everybody who's watching this. This is our first podcast. This is the first time we're trying this thing, so we're probably going to make some mistakes, and that's okay. Just in the spirit of what we were talking about a minute ago. But with that said, I think we do want to start moving towards the last segment here. I will ask you one more question before we get to that. What do you think? What do you think most people really kind of misunderstand about getting to that successful level that you're at right now? I know there's still a lot more for you to accomplish, but to get to the point where you're at right now, I know having observed some of the things that you've done, been there whenever you were doing some of your recordings and stuff. I know there's a lot of work that goes into it, and I don't think that really comes across, well, whenever people are watching your, a 90-second video that it took you 13 hours and, 4 or 5 of those hours was, reflopping an egg on a grill over and over and over to get just the right shot.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking at it from my perspective, I see people like Derek Wolf and Miguel with live fire cooking, or sorry, cooking with fire, and these inspirations that I looked up to, and from my perspective, it's like they had it all together, and I knew they were making some good money and they were living the life. It was just, imagine being that person, a leader in the industry. No matter what they put out, it performs well. No matter what they make, it looks delicious. And early on, that was my goal. And since then, I've made very good friends with these people and many others that I've looked up to, and almost in a sense feel that I've reached their level of success. And looking back, I realize my perception was completely fragmented because I know these people personally now, and we talk about things that are real and raw and authentic, and I realize that they are just as human as me. And so I don't want people to ever assume that I've made it or that I'm for them to make it per se, they have to have all their crap together, right? um, that has been an eye opener for me, and I think that's why they say never meet your heroes, right? Because you learn how human they are. And I hope that when people meet me, they have a breath of fresh air. Like, dude, that guy is just a normal guy, and I hope they get that impression when they see my stuff too. But um, don't have that misconception that we have it all together, because we're just like any other person. And you see celebrities that will act like they have it all together, and it ends up driving them nuts. Like, if I thought I had it all together, I think I would go crazy trying to fake it. um but yeah, it just takes consistency, honestly. Raw hard work, flipping the egg over and over and over until you get that perfect shot. You've got to be OCD. I feel like that has been one of my greatest strengths, is just never being satisfied, being happy but not satisfied. Okay, that's kind of my mantra. Is we got to always be hungry for more, but not to the point where it makes you miserable.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I love that. Evangeline, what are you there?
Yes, just one more question for you. If we have to put your leadership advice on a billboard, what would that be?
Mm.
In one or two sentences, maybe.
Leadership advice on a billboard. Dang, that's such a good question. That's not what I'm gonna say, right? That's not quite advice.
Dang, that's such a
Gosh, that is I don't have any good one-liners.
I could make a suggestion if you like,
Yeah.
because it's something that I took from what you have said, in this
So it's technically
show.
technically
It's
my word.
technically what you already said. Be the right person.
I like that one a lot. Be the right person. Don't be so concerned about all the nitty-gritty numbers. I think if people could see from a simple lens that you know it's not all complicated, it's not all figuring out how to speak Mandarin, uh not rocket science, as they say. It's just doing the work and getting up every day and being consistent, being the right person. So I love that.
Me too. All right, Evangeline, do you want to start we're going to go into this segment, the rapid fire segment. So we're going to
How
ask you
fun.
to give some short responses to a few questions. So I don't know, Evangeline, do you want to lead off?
I don't have my. I
Okay,
got, yeah.
I can do it
We can
here.
just.
All right. So question number one, what's your favorite book on leadership?
I really like the dichotomy of leadership. uh well, there's two. There's extreme ownership, I would say, would be number one, and then the second would be the one that follows that, is the dichotomy of leadership. So Jocko Willink, and Leif Babbitt. They got the right stuff. I love their stuff.
Very good stuff.
I got a follow up with that. Do you have like a favorite Bible verse or story?
Favorite Bible verse or story? I believe it's the story of Naaman when he goes to the prophet, is it Isaiah, um, and asks to be healed and has to go back to the river time after time after time, or I think he that's what the prophet had told him to do, and it was such a simple thing that he was in complete disbelief, and I think I get tied up in that. People get tied up in doing, or I guess not doing the right things because they are so simple and they're so easy to forget, so easy to leave behind. And I think it's just a very applicable story to many people. So I can be that guy. I can be naming quite often, like, is it really that necessary? Or is it, you know, easily slips through my fingers? So
Nice. So what's one failure you're grateful for now?
dang. um, man. So there's this guy that I knew in Utah that taught me so much about pizza. And he taught me about fermentation. He taught me about hydration. And I loved his pizzas. And we struck up a deal to if I built him this wood pallet project because he saw that I could do some woodwork, he would teach me everything he knows. I give a lot of credit to this guy on what I know in pizza. In the process of him teaching me, we ended up kind of modeling after his business, and he was very supportive of it because he would go and sell pizza at events and also out of his house. And so we kind of wanted to do the same thing, and he gave us a pizza oven.
Hmm.
And this could be equally put on him, but I will say it was my mistake where I created an Instagram. This is where the birth of the Backyard Palate came to be. It was at the time called Dat Pizza Dough, but in the bio I said best pizza in Utah, and he saw that and was immediately offended. And he said, like, you can't honestly say that, right? Now we're competitors. And we had a pretty heated conversation over the phone, and he ended up taking his pizza oven away. So he
Wow.
asked for it back. And I was torn because I felt like he was being really petty about it and really just a punk about the whole thing. But also I felt bad that I didn't think about how that could have come across to him. And we had some really great business ideas together that I would join him in his catering business, and we would kind of scratch each other's backs. But it ended so quickly, and we didn't have a pizza oven to use to sell pizza. And that actually falls into the truck story as well. So all that was happening at the same time. I got this terrible truck. Our business that we had just started was already coming to a close. We didn't have a pizza oven, and I just didn't know where things were going to go from there. But Halo Products Group ended up launching their pizza oven that same month. The Turning Stone, the exact same type of pizza oven that was taken from me. That pizza oven that he had given to us was discontinued, so they didn't sell that type anymore until Halo launched their own Turning Stone. And so if it hadn't been for that unfortunate disconnect that occurred, uh, we wouldn't have changed directions. I don't know if I would have worked for Halo. I certainly wouldn't have, because I wouldn't have their product. Uh, would have gone in a completely different direction that I thought, you know, was the right direction to go. So, really grateful for that, whether it was actually a mistake that I made or just the situation sucked. And it was what it was. And I'm so grateful it happened.
Nice. That's awesome. Uh, you know, awesome that everything kind of worked out well. Not awesome that you kind of, you know,
I'm over
stuck
it.
it to your friend.
I'm over it. I'm sure we could come back together and be friends now that we're not competitors. I'm not interested.
Evangeline, you got any other questions? Or did we maybe we lost her? All
I
right.
realize this was rapid fire, by the way. I'm kind of long-winded, so I
It's
don't
like really slow rapid
slow
fire.
motion fire.
No. So,
I'll try to
so
be more brief.
well, this hopefully this one is a pretty short response. What if you're going to sneak a treat at the end of the night from the kitchen? What are you grabbing?
Goldfish. I love goldfish, man. Or bowl of cereal. Life cinnamon. Uh, Either one of those. But if I'm taking my time, it's going to be steak. I love a good late night steak.
Mm, yeah. You just grab it out of the fridge like cold, or are you
Yeah,
heating it up?
dude, I like it. I like it as rare as possible. Honestly, if it's coming out of the fridge, it's going to be end up pretty rare. So, yeah, I love a good rare late night steak.
Very nice. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Tom. Thanks for being here with us. And I know Evangeline. Oh, now she's back. I know that Evangeline is appreciative as well. And it's awesome that we've had the opportunity to interview you here, this first podcast that we're doing, and we get a guest like you on here. So I really want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. You're a better friend than I deserve.
Oh, well,
I
I
want to
feel like
cry.
when two guys are trying to be the right people, we gravitate. So I feel equally as grateful for you. And I'm excited to come back on the podcast in, I don't know, a year or so when it's booming. Because I feel like you're one of those people that's going to make it happen. It's no matter what, it's going to succeed one way or another.
Thank you so much, Sam. This has been phenomenal. This is awesome. Thank you for the grace. Thank you for all the wisdom that you've shared. I know you're going to go even farther, and we are so excited to God has in this coming year. So thanks again. Hope to see you really soon.
Yeah. Well, the privilege is mine. I'm really grateful that you guys thought to include me. And like I said, I see myself as a normal guy. So you may be thinking, we got the guy from the Backyard Palate, but I'm just good old Tom Judkins. So I'm glad that I could be on here, and I hope it was good for you guys. I hope I was a good first guest.
Yeah,
So much
absolutely.
from you. So much wisdom.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So Evangeline, I'm going to ask you real quick, if you're in a area where you can talk, what was your biggest takeaway from today?
My biggest takeaway really is I've already been told I'm very authentic. And so even though I don't know a lot about, I can't do great videos like Tom and use that. But just believing in myself and in what God has given me, being true to that, knowing my priorities, not giving a lot of mistakes and be uncomfortable, and just keep going because I know that God has something big for all of us that we just need to, you know, walk in that victory and that purpose that He has already provided for us. Thank you.
Yeah,
Love that.
awesome. Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway from today, the best thing that I heard, and I mean, you said a lot of great stuff, Tom, as always, but the best thing that I heard was that be the right person. It's just like that struck me right in the heart, be the right person. Man, I'm going to carry that with me for the rest of my life. So thank you so much.
It'll do you well.
Thank you so much again. Really appreciate it. And we'll go ahead and sign off now.
Thank you.
Go ahead and continue on with that, and I'll come back.
All right. Thanks, guys, so much. It's wonderful. We'll see you next time.
If this conversation resonated with you, take a moment to like the video and drop a comment below. We read them, and we love hearing what stood out to you. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified when new conversations are released. And please share this with someone who needs to hear it, a colleague, a friend, someone you're leading, or someone who's leading you. If you'd ever like to be a guest or a leader whose story deserves to be heard, please reach out. We're always looking for meaningful conversations.